You know what Sony had? The Holy Trinity. Leo, Brad, and Marco. Who do you have?
This week, we're joined by Dave Hanratty to discuss Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, and a whole gang of boys in 2019's Triple Frontier. This is Boy Party. You've been shot 5 times for your country and you can't even afford to send your kids to podcast? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Boy Party, the podcast about movies where 2 or more major stars share the screen and battle it out for first billing, the highest paycheck, the most screen time, and the most acclaim. My name is Lucien Wadley, and I'm joined, as always, by one of the only men I'd be able to persuade to go on a crazy covert mission in the South American jungle with me. It's Shane Kelly.
Howdy.
And joining us for the first time, another seasoned podcaster who I have also managed to persuade to go on this insane mission with us, host of No Encore, Dave Hanratty.
Hello, I hope I get shot in the head unceremoniously at some point during this.
Oh, don't make yourself the Affleck. Don't put yourself in that role.
Spoilers, by the way.
Spoilers,
straight away.
Welcome, Dave, to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, man.
You've been a fantastic patron of the podcast the past few months. You've had me on No Encore and promoted the show right up the top, so I'm going to do the same for you and give us the first few minutes to let everyone know where they can hear more of you. No Encore drops every Friday. It is the best Irish music podcast out there and more. And tell us a little bit about what people can hear if they tune in.
Yeah, so we do, myself and my sonic architect, Adam, who you know very well, who's a lovely, lovely man. Basically, it's a weekly music show, lots of news. Like this week, for example, we'll be talking about Glastonbury because it proved very, very newsworthy. But we also usually do a top 5, a themed top 5, whether it's top 5 needle drops in the Michael Mann movie, top 5 most overrated albums, top 5 anti-love songs, you name it. Yeah, just kind of your standard hook in this kind of trying to desperately find something in the modern podcast world to be like, look, it's not like all the other ones, even though everyone else does lists as well. I've been doing it for quite some time. It kind of started as a post-hot press thing when I worked there for a long time, well, a short amount of time in the kind of early 10s. And I've kept it going for a variety of reasons, one of which is I enjoy doing it. Another one is much like I'm sure you guys are finding with this podcast that I very much do love, and again, I'm very honored to be here, legitimately. It's nice to have your own thing and not have an editor over you, which isn't to say that we're going to go off into some like psycho territory here, but it is just nice to kind of have your own creative project, whatever that may be. And in this day and age, guys, as we all know, white men, microphones, podcasts, it's the new I'm writing a novel, isn't it?
We're few and far between, yeah.
Yeah, a dying breed. Mm-hmm. I got really pissed off. I probably shouldn't say this, but I got really pissed off I think it was during the pandemic, and Nicola Coughlan from Dairy Girls put out a tweet that was like, hey, you know, tough time for everyone at the moment. Please check in on your male friends. They might be starting a podcast.
Yes.
And I get it, and ha, yes, that's very funny. And there's the other jokes about, what do you call a group of men? A podcast. Even I've said that one. I just thought it was a shitty thing to say.
Interesting.
Because it was inferring. It was using the mental health male blah blah blah. And sorry, now I sound like some kind of like activist. I'm not.
No. I think the issue is that white men with podcasts are judged by our very worst. And unfortunately, the worst white men with podcasts have destroyed Western civilization over the past decade.
A little bit, yeah.
But then the best just want to talk about, Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, and the boys. So we're harmless. Let us do this.
This film, right? Sorry, this film could be called Boy Party.
Yes, it is. It is one of the best boys per minute ratio, as we said previously about Glengarry Glen Ross. It's up there. But we're going to focus on 2 of its stars in particular. But I know, Dave, you wanted to talk about the other 3 in brief as well. We'll get to them in a moment. But
sorry, I promise I'm not going to keep derailing.
Finish your thing. Yeah.
I just have to say, because again, I just imagine the European edition DVD of this, because you know how in different territories in the world a film gets renamed for no reason. Yeah. So this could be up there with Den of Thieves. It's called Criminal Squad. I don't know where. Brilliant. And then my favorite one is Wrath of Man starring Jason Statham.
Absolutely, yeah.
Actually a pretty good film.
Guy Ritchie, yeah.
I think in Turkey it's called Cash Truck.
Oh, Cash Truck. This could be Cash Truck.
Boy Party Cash Truck.
Boy Party Cash Truck. Absolutely.
All right, I'm done. I'm gonna.
But you also have a No Encore Patreon that people can subscribe to once they've tasted the show and they like what they hear.
Yes, €5 a month gets you all kinds of bonus content, a weekly new episode, including the film Film Club, which we do every 2 weeks, in which we pick a film and talk about it. It's that straightforward and simple, but I promise you it's fun and it's edited quite nicely, if I do say so myself. And the latest episode on there is The Killer from 2023.
Excited to listen to that.
I love that film. I think it's great.
It's good. I like it, yeah. And recently you've done stuff like Babylon and The Usual Suspects and what
Street
else?
Fighter versus Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Not a side of culture I engage with much, but I will tune in. But yeah, so people check out No Encore. It is one of the best shows to listen to. Shane and Dave are only meeting for the first time right now after Shane's been listening to No Encore for months.
That is true.
So this is an IRL.
It's unusual to see someone's face for the first time after listening to them for several months.
I guess you're both having inverted experiences.
The voices never match up, though. I find whether it's radio, television. I there's a podcast I listened to and I watched a YouTube video of them on it, and I literally was like, that can't be them. That can't be like. I'd conjured up a much different voice and much different face kind of ratio. So
there's a cognitive dissonance there.
You didn't sound like I thought you would when I saw you at the train station, but now that you have a microphone in your hand, you sound exactly like I thought you sound. So
I think I was maybe
maybe
shy.
your podcast voice turned on.
Well, anyway, this week we are discussing Triple Frontier, directed by JC Chandor. Last time I was on a podcast with you, Dave, we briefly touched upon Margin Call, which is JC Chandor's big breakout film. I'm not a fan of Margin Call. I sort of explained that it's my relationship with it has deteriorated over the years. I know Shane likes it more than I do, and you definitely like it a lot.
Yeah, it's like Before Sunrise for boys.
Before Sunrise for boys, right? Interesting.
Yeah.
It is a good waiting for the sun to come up.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a good takes place in one night.
True.
Kind of thing.
But JCC does have an interesting run there where he makes that, and then he does the Robert Redford on a boat movie, All Is Lost, which is the kind of thing I really, really convinced myself I loved when I was 14, 15, whatever, when it came out, because I was like, I love Robert Redford. I want him to get an Oscar in old age. This is a great, survival movie. And then you're like, that's just boring. Like boring.
I've never seen it actually. It just looked too
so dull.
It looked too boring.
Yeah, it's just there's no way to make that exciting.
You're more of a, when it comes to JC Chandor, you're more of a Craven the Hunter kind of guy.
I haven't seen Craven the Hunter for a very specific reason, that there are scary spiders in the trailer.
No,
I'm an arachnophobe.
I'm fucking. So am I.
Oh, interesting.
Even the thought upsets me. I swear to God.
And you watched it?
Yeah, because they're not real. Like it doesn't.
What do you mean they're not real though?
But it's like that film Sting. I had to review. I had to review that film.
You watched that
in the
as
cinema,
an arachnophobe
in the cinema because I had to
Fuck
review,
off.
and it didn't once upset me.
I wouldn't even look at the poster. The poster was making me feel really anxious.
Now there's a French film which came out last year
No.
called Vermine.
I haven't heard of this. No,
It's called Infested.
No. Stop right now.
It's set in a Paris apartment block in which a guy brings home a spider.
No. Stop that.
What I'm going to say though is
no.
lots of practical real spiders, and I watched it. I don't know how it's on Shudder. Yeah,
We were sitting here.
I hate them.
Watching Wall Street Money Never Sleeps a few months ago, and a giant spider appeared on that wall over there, and we went through this complex process of disposing of it.
Yeah.
It took us about an hour because neither of us wanted to go near
And
it.
a third person.
Needless to say, I will not be watching any of those films you just mentioned, but I trust that JC is putting his talents to good use in Craven the Hunter.
He's not.
But weirdly, when I saw Zachary Quinto in Galway Film Flat 2013 doing a Q&A, he was talking about how much he was in on the JC Chandor train. He was like, I worked with him on Margin Call. I think he's amazing. I'm exec producing All Is Lost. I want to be in business with this guy, and that seemed to instantly come to a standstill, and they haven't worked together again since. But his other film is A Most Violent Year with star of Triple Frontier, Oscar Isaac, which is another film when I was a teenager. I was like, this is great, this is class, this is so cool, and now I couldn't tell you a single thing about it I liked. I just thought it was like a cool movie to say that.
It's the greatest coat in modern cinema history.
On which of them? On Oscar?
Oscar Isaac. He's wearing this kind of sand-colored coat. I'm not a coat man, really.
Yeah.
A coatman,
but you
if
admire
will.
that coat.
It's beautiful, yeah. I like that movie. It's subdued as hell and not much happens, but I kind of knew that going in.
Who's in the supporting cast? Is Corey Stoll in it? Or people
My
like
boy Alessandro Nivola pops up.
Oh, brilliant.
Okay,
yes.
Who I adore and always have. And he's it's worth watching Craven the Hunter for him because he's doing a wacky performance.
There's no spiders. I believe me. For Russell Crowe, for him, I would be watching it. For Christopher Abbott,
Fred Heckinger is in there as well.
Oh my God, what's this great cast?
Boy Party.
Everyone except Aaron Taylor Johnson there, I like.
He's actually okay in it.
Is he? Yeah.
You know, he's clearly going to be the new James Bond, which I think is not interesting.
I'm not 100% convinced on that yet. But
he signed a deal with Omega Watches.
I know he did, but I'm
28 years later, like the scuzzy fucked up version of him is the most interesting.
I like him in 28 years later.
Yeah.
I think that if Villeneuve has any say, they might go with someone slightly more interesting.
He doesn't have final cut.
He doesn't have
apparently.
final cut. I don't think he'll have to say on the casting much either. But
No.
anyway, we'll get derailed by this. But JC Chandor, he's got 5 films in there, which are all very different, but kind of, man movies of different kinds, like really just just no women in those at all, really, other than Chastain and In a Most Violent Year. But I think he is someone who could, make something interesting again. And Triple Frontier has a lot of really solid action filmmaking, and not even just action, but like good, isolated exotic location stuff that I think is evidence of a filmmaker with a good eye for doing stuff outdoors and in daylight. And this film is like very clearly, you can clearly follow what's going on.
Yeah,
even when
it's all
up at
staged
night.
pretty well.
Yeah, so I think he does demonstrate a good tact for action stuff, where I would put him onto a better IP movie than Kraven the Hunter. Probably.
Yeah, I think so. It looks good, and it's that thing of, this feels like a very solid thriller that we used to get a lot of back in the day and don't get as much anymore. But I'm curious, because this is my third time seeing this movie.
Yeah.
You guys watched it for the very first time?
Yeah.
Yes.
So going in, what did you expect from it, and what did you get from it?
I expected The Accountant 2 with no jokes.
The trailer is really bad. I think the trailer makes it look very dark and dull, and I was expecting a lot of nighttime jungle nonsense.
A lot of shooting, a lot of just swarms of bad guys, and
I just expected a lot of just like gunfire in the jungle at night, not being able to tell who was who was where, what was going on.
we have a strong aversion to guns. We think they're quite boring as a tool.
I think
films.
gun action is the least interesting type of action.
So you haven't watched all of the John Wick films then?
No interest. Really, like, genuinely don't interest me at all. Like the action that we're into tends to be somewhere in the stunty cruise side of things. And I would include in that some of the crazy car nonsense in the Fast and Furious interests me more. Like anything that isn't gun-based.
What about the two Raid films? Have you seen those?
No interest.
But
Haven't seen them.
it's mostly martial arts.
Doesn't really
Lots of
interest
guns
me
though
either.
as well.
I'm not really into martial arts either.
It's got to be of the Looney Tunes variety.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get
Like,
you.
what are other action movies we've liked in the last years? We liked Accountant 2.
We did.
Most of it wasn't guns until the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought The Amateur was pretty fun.
I wouldn't call it an action movie.
He was
really.
setting off traps and stuff. I like when there's like traps, hijinks,
Yeah, like-
trains, cars, boats.
Like, the killer has guns, but he also has lots of little random gadgets,
Yes, the
like
killer
scanning
has lots of
cards
cool-
and
the killer has
apps.
lots of other stuff.
It has apps, which are slightly more fun.
Bond tends to skew away from being too gun heavy these days.
Is
Like,
this a moral thing? Are you
only
just
a little bit
anti-gun?
I'm very anti-gun on a moral, political level, but I just don't think that guns make for interesting filmmaking because it's just too quick of a killing tool. I think that an action sequence where no one has a gun creates more interesting opportunities for choreography and other.
Yeah, I
weapons
think it
in
reduces the limit, or it reduces the amount of physicality you can put into a performance by restricting your hands to being
Yes.
tied to these guns, I guess.
It's way more fun if people have two hands to be, tickling each other with, like
Yeah,
in a sense.
a little bit.
Anyway, I think Triple Frontier has loads of guns, but ultimately, like, isn't really an action movie at all. It's,
No, because ultimately they kind of avoid, the entire film is based around avoiding conflict.
Yes, exactly.
Which
They're trying
actually
to
makes it a bit more interesting.
get out of it. Yeah, and I think the use of guns in this film is actually laden with a good bit of sort of feeling, I guess, where like when someone gets shot, you're like, oh my god, like this is shocking. Whereas if they were firing every minute from the very beginning, you wouldn't have any effect at all.
Yeah, it's like, I guess we should probably describe the plot of this movie in as much as it's 5 military guys, 4 of whom
all the same age.
Yeah, and they're clearly like they obviously served together, all the same age. But it's because who do we have? Like,
They're actually not as far off as you'd expect.
really? Okay.
Pedro Pascal is 2 years younger than Ben Affleck, which is shocking to me.
Okay.
He is much older than he looks. Affleck is younger than he looks, I think.
54 and 52.
53 and 51 or something.
Yeah.
And then Oscar Isaac and the other two are kind of trailing behind in their late
I was like
40s.
48 and 40.
Hunnam is kind of early 40s. But yeah.
And then who's the fourth guy? Fifth guy?
Garrett Hedlund.
I cannot remember his name.
Well, this is the thing, because they all have nicknames except him.
Exactly, yeah.
Because
I
that's how
pointed that out
generic.
as well.
That's how generic Garrett Hedlund
Ben
is.
Miller.
I actually called him the hat guy because when he falls out of the helicopter,
Yeah.
he's like struggling, and they throw him his hat, and I said, "Oh, that's so you remember which guy that is."
Exactly. The hat is his most distinctive.
Yeah, he's the hat guy.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's 5 guys, as you were saying.
Yeah, and essentially Oscar Isaac is a private military contractor who's working in South America. He's been there for 3 years. He's trying to take down a drug lord. He has a criminal informant played by Adria Arjona. I believe that's how it's pronounced.
Hitman and Andor, yeah.
Yes, who's kind of very much on the crest of a career wave at the moment, and good actress, obviously a very beautiful woman. Like, in fairness, everyone in this film is gorgeous looking.
Absolutely,
Like,
yeah.
we've cast a very beautiful woman and 5 strapping men, so that's what you're getting in this movie.
Some of these men, too handsome to be interesting actors, I might argue.
Which ones?
Mr. Hunnam.
Well, see,
mostly.
I'm a Charlie Hunnam apologist.
I like him because he's handsome, and I think it prevents him from being a truly interesting presence. Like,
Look, you have a point, because I do defend him, and I will say, I know we're going to concentrate mostly on the filmographies of Isaac and Affleck.
the real stars.
Well, yeah, like the thing about Hunnam is, I would have. So I'm unfortunately I'm older than you boys. Very, very much like a reversed frontier happening here.
Sure.
We're
all the same age.
Yeah, I'm officially in my 40s, which is upsetting. But the thing is, I would have seen Charlie Hunnam pop up on Queer as Folk in, I want to say,
Right.
98 possibly.
Wow, okay,
on Channel 4 with Aidan Gillen, and I remember that being this firestorm of controversy because, of course, gay sex on a television show.
Yeah.
And I remember him being quite good in it, even though he was very young. And then I kind of I liked him. I kind of kept up with his career. He's made a lot of bad movies, and he's been bad in a lot of bad movies. I like, much like a Keanu Reeves, who, you know, you put him in the right role, you'll get gold. Put him in the wrong role, you'll get Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Hunnam, I think he gets written off very, very easily and dismissed very, very easily. But when he's good, I think he's very good, and people don't say that he is. For example, The Lost City of Zed, I think he's phenomenal in.
Have been meaning to watch it.
It's very good. It looks beautiful.
So I hear.
It looks gorgeous, and he's really fucking good in it. Pattinson's in it in a supporting role, and everyone's
Tom
like,
Holland
they should have just cast Pattinson as Percy Fawcett. I'm like, no, Hunnam plays it perfectly.
That's a misunderstanding of Pattinson's energy as well.
It completely is. He's also very, very good in a very little seen film called Jungle Land with Jack O'Connell. It's about boxing. It's very slight. It's okay. Like, he does.
I think Pacific Rim is excellent, and I don't think he's interesting in it at all. He's so slotted in there where anyone could be in there. You know?
I love the first Pacific Rim. The second one is not good.
No.
But I like him. I've got a soft spot for him while recognizing his deficiencies as an actor. I do think he's good in this, though.
Yeah, he's good in this. I think I ran out of patience right where you had Crimson Peak, which I really don't like, and the King Arthur Guy Ritchie fucking catastrophe back to back.
Remember that was supposed to start a franchise of 7 films.
They were going to do every single night of the round table one at a time. That was one of the most, like, I've never really walked out of a film unless I thought I was having a fucking heart attack, like, and the only time I was ever like so bored and frustrated I was about to walk out was with King Arthur Legend of the Sword, and I really have held that against him now, and I've never let that go. It's not really his fault, but I think the types of leading man roles they put him in did him no service. And I would say the exact same thing about Garrett Hedlund in Tron Legacy, where he is like contributing nothing there to make that film work more than it already is.
Super generic, man.
You could swap Hunnam and Hedlund in those films around, and it would make no difference to the quality of the films.
That's why casting them in this as brothers is kind of genius, right?
Sure, yes.
Because you buy it. And I will say on Hedlund,
I didn't know they were brothers in this. I didn't pick up on that.
I don't think it's ever said out loud.
It makes sense because they're so interchangeable, like, yeah.
Hedlund, I will say, for an actor who is extremely generic, is shockingly good in Inside Llewyn Davis.
He is, although that role is looking for somebody who gives away very little about themselves
and just is gruff and mumbles.
Yeah, you want an enigma who is mumbly, and I think he's perfect for that, and he should be kept in that lane for forever. You know,
I was trying to think of his breakout role. It's Troy, isn't it? He pops up in Troy as.
I haven't seen Troy. I wouldn't know.
Troy's good, I will say.
Okay.
It's disappointing for someone like myself who studied classical studies and was like, "Holy shit, they're doing this."
Troy
has his
is
moments.
directed by Wolfgang Peterson.
Yeah. Who Peter O'Toole on that movie? Peter O'Toole described him as a daft kraut.
Interesting.
Which feels like something Peter O'Toole would say, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good. Hedlund he's in Four Brothers, that really bad Mark Wahlberg action movie.
Oh yeah. The John thingy.
Singleton.
John Singleton.
May he rest. Yeah, he's a very generic presence.
I wasn't aware of him until Tron, and that Tron movie unfortunately was like me dragging my parents to see it when I was 13, and then being like, that was fucking garbage, and me kind of just going along with that, and then only in the past few years I've been like, Tron Legacy has some things going for it.
It looks very pretty.
Cool. The Daft Punk score is great,
and Cillian Murphy's in it for 5 minutes.
Michael Sheen is in it for about 3 minutes. But I think that the Garrett Hedlund character not returning for the new one is not something I'm too sad about.
Hey, at least we're getting Jared Leto.
We're getting the cool and normal Jared Leto. Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, Pedro Pascal, meanwhile, now the biggest movie star in the world for the next 3 months. I feel like we'll probably talk about him on this podcast on his own episode soon enough, because he's just becoming the lead of every franchise.
Has he got anything in the catalogue that's on the list?
Materialists could kind of qualify.
Oh, yes.
When it eventually comes out here. But
when is it coming out here, by the way?
Mid-August.
Okay.
Yeah, although a certain major A-list pop singer who I won't name popped into Dublin Cinema for a private screening of it 2 weeks ago, which was fun for her. I wish the rest of us could have seen it. But anyway, that is the Pedro Pascal summer that we're experiencing, where he's in Fantastic Four.
An actor I like, but I just and I get it because he is, as you said, he's in his 50s and he's been worked in TV forever, and he gets his big break in Game of Thrones. I think he's great in Game of Thrones. I think spoilers for Game of Thrones, everybody, but show dies when he dies, in my opinion, and just goes steadily downhill season by season. Very happy for him to be getting his flowers, but even I'm a bit sick of him at this point.
He's saying yes to too many things.
It's like Fantastic Four. What are you doing?
Yeah,
like
I don't know what's going on there. But he is obviously he's working well for people with a certain type of energy that is unusual, I guess, for a leading Hollywood man. And like he seems to have his like politics in the right place.
He does.
He seems like a genuinely nice and lovely individual.
And fair play, because he's still like he's about to headline Fantastic Four, and he's still coming out and saying "fuck you, J.K. Rowling."
Which is really good. And
I'm surprised they're letting him do this.
I know, it's shocking. Like, so he seems to have enough leverage to continue to kind of like speak his mind.
Yeah, his sister is trans, as far as I know,
which is obviously helping.
And for a long time, he's been incredibly outspoken in that regard. And he just seems like a nice dude.
So I'm rooting for him because of all that.
Yeah, but I'm also like, make us miss you. Go away for a few years. You know,
exactly. I know. It'll have to happen. He'll
Fantastic Four will make it happen.
Yeah, like it's going to be the Jude Law Winter 2004 thing all over again, where you're just like,
do you think that film is going to bomb? Is that
Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
No, but maybe it'll just make the average casual person. I don't know.
Is that the point at which people are like, all right, that's enough?
Depends. People are going to love that movie. It's going to have a fucking needle drop of some stupid pop song that'll go viral on TikTok, and the kids are going to go crazy
for it.
It'll make
$500 million. No,
double that. You'd want it to make a profit anyway. So the five men in this film, Oscar Isaac gets them all together. They head off out to Brazil.
They end up in Brazil. He has this plan to take down the drug lord, and he's aware that there is apparently $75 million hidden in the house. His house is a safe. It's guarded by people, and he could do it with the local law enforcement, but they're all corrupt, and he seeks out his guys back home to be like, one more job, guys. And they're all in different states of post-war, kind of like that bit in The Hurt Locker when Jeremy Renner is just wandering around a supermarket being like,
life.
I'm depressed, I want to go back to the war. So you've got and points to you. I know you only watched it 2 nights ago, was it?
A week ago.
Okay, but points to you if you can remember any of the nicknames without looking them up.
Ironhead.
Pope.
Yeah, Santiago is Oscar Isaac. Pope is his nickname. Ironhead is Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah, that's it.
Red Fly is Ben Affleck.
Red Fly is getting rich is the line I remember.
Wonderful.
Pedro Pascal? No,
idea.
Catfish.
That's
his terrible nickname.
I don't remember that. Okay.
So the guys are all in various, like, they're all fine, but at the same time, very tempting job offer coming up here. So you've got Charlie Hunnam, who is now giving pep talks to the army. Not good.
Oh God, this is an incredible opening. He goes into the army and his entire speech he's given is yeah, I was in a supermarket once and a guy pushed in front of me and I choked him to the point where it nearly died.
Do you think that guy was Jeremy Renner's character from The Hurt Locker walking around the supermarket?
I don't know. But something like this happened in New York last year on the subway. There was a big story where an ex-Marine killed a black man on the subway in New York.
There's a lot to be said of like Hollywood making films about what happens to these guys psychologically.
But I can absolutely not figure out what the tone was of this opening scene. Are we meant to be like sympathetic towards him that he like,
I don't know,
because he pivots from that to being like, hey, listen, they're going to try and recruit you into private contracting groups. Don't do it. Stay in the military. And I'm like, what? So he basically, it's kind of, I know I'm a killing machine and I belong in the military. So he's doing that, and he has this thing about numbers. Oscar Isaac comes to recruit him and he's like, how many times have you given this speech? He's like 173 or something like that. His brother, played by Garrett Hedlund, is he's doing MMA in local gyms. Definitely votes MAGA.
Definitely, yeah.
100%. He walks out to Pantera. That's his music.
No way, that's what that is.
It's Walk by Pantera. And we also get Metallica at the start of this movie.
Yes.
Which is,
I recognize that, and I thought, this is why you like this so much.
For whom the bell tolls, as Oscar Isaac sweeps in a helicopter, I'm like, this rules. What else we got? Ben Affleck is he's
a real estate agent.
This is why you cast Ben Affleck.
He's playing Ben Affleck.
He's playing Ben Affleck, and he's a bit like
the most divorced man of all time.
Divorced guy.
He's playing a divorced man who's selling real estate, and his heart's not in it, and he's behind on the bills for the alimony, and The kid clearly doesn't respect him, and he's a bit of a slob.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Listen, I'm in no way judging how someone looks, but I think it's clear Affleck either put on weight for this or was just in a moment in his life where he wasn't.
It seems like he's
as
in
cut
this,
as he
he's in
usually
this
is.
post. It's right after Justice League, I guess.
Yeah, so
And
maybe
he's-
just put on a lot of muscle and kind of retain the weight.
Yeah,
but also got a
He's
he's
little
done
bit
his
heavier.
funny Batman becoming like really, really wide thing, where he
Yeah.
kind of just like changes his look for that, which I think makes him an interesting Batman aesthetically. That he's like, what if Batman was just like enormous?
Yes.
But then yes, it gives him a couple years of like, oh, interesting. You're kind of in the post period of that look.
Was he making? I still haven't seen The Way Back,
That was you're right. That was the year after this,
which I think is meant to be good.
it's okay.
So he's kind of like slightly schlubby, but he's Hollywood schlubby.
Yes.
Like,
I'd
he
say
still
he
looks like
looks
Ben
the same
fucking
in The Way
Affleck.
Back,
You're
yeah.
like, oh, he's a movie star.
He's like strong chubby in this.
In The Way Back,
Yes.
he's playing a guy with a serious drinking problem. So
and
he's
there's a
not meant
couple
to
of
look
scenes
very
in
well.
this, much like there's a couple of scenes in Gone Girl. Like remember in Gone Girl where all of a sudden there'd be a shot of him looking like, oh, he's clearly training for Batman on
Yeah,
that day.
yeah.
There's a couple of shots in this where all of a sudden he's like tighter than he usually is, and I was like, when was that scene shot? But everyone looks immaculate in this, and essentially Oscar Isaac is like, oh, Pedro Pascal, by the way, also is a helicopter pilot, but he's been grounded because he's on a coke bust. He was done for doing coke, and he's got a wife and kid, all that kind of stuff. But Oscar Isaac essentially comes to them and is like, look, I've got an offer you can't refuse. Let's take down this drug lord who I hate, and let's also make a ton of money, and that's it. We'll never have to. And it's that thing as well, which sometimes movies do this, where it's like, you know, you were shot a bunch of times, you can't even afford a fucking truck.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we gave so much to this country and we didn't get paid properly. And often the motivation for like psycho villains in you know, any action film here, which in fairness, kind of like you were saying as well, it's like there is something under the surface here of like, hey, the American military fucks men up and spits them out, Taxi Driver style. So
Yeah.
I think this film doesn't go as deep as it could in that regard, but that's kind of why I like it, because it's not like these guys aren't heroes.
No.
I think it's quite clear
Yeah.
that they're not being glorified by the end of
And
this
the movie pulls the rug out by the mission only basically taking up the first 50% of the film, and then it sort of leading to this nightmare, everything goes wrong second half, which is where it really kicks up a notch for me and became an interesting movie.
Yes, which I didn't see coming either.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, just to speed through the second half
Yeah.
of it, they do successfully get the cash. Turns out there's a lot more there. They fuck up their mission because Ben Affleck suddenly becomes greed man.
Just one more load, just one more load.
One more load.
The money's in the walls, which again was kind of like Sicario-esque, where I was like, oh, like bodies in the walls, money's
Yeah.
in the walls is kind of gross. And they get, you know, they get away with like $250 million. It's too much money. It literally weighs down the helicopter in a very unsubtle visual metaphor. But like they start cracking amongst themselves, because you have the Ardria Arjona character and her brother, she's Oscar Isaac's informant. And there's this whole runner of like, I bet she's good looking, is she? Because you always have good looking CIs, and of course she's beautiful, and of course they have a relationship, etc. But they take them with them, and even Affleck's kind of like, we should just fucking shoot them in the head now and leave them here. And it's like, Jesus, man, that's not great, is it? And it all goes horribly wrong. The helicopter crashes. They end up in a village. They have to kill some villagers. They try and buy them off. They bring these mules over a mountain.
This
and
part's great with
the
the
darkest
donkeys,
of
like-
comedy, where like a mule
Yeah.
just bites it.
Oh, it's awful.
so-
It's so upsetting.
But like all the guys are so upset that the donkey died, despite basically massacring a village of farmers.
yeah, exactly. Like,
in the previous scene.
psychopaths.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They are psychopaths.
Awful.
That's the thing about these
Absolutely.
characters. They are psychopaths, and I do at some point want to talk about, or maybe we could do it now, but like ranking them 5 to 1 in terms of who like worst, like least worst to worst in terms of morals and just character.
Oh, man, I don't know. We'll do it right now.
I think Hunnam's the least worst, because he wanted Ben Affleck to go, or else he wouldn't do the mission. So he's looking out for his buddy. Granted, that turns out to be a fatal error.
Yes.
But he's also like, he's stoic, he's composed, he's trying to keep the mission on track.
not when he was in the supermarket.
No,
Everything since the supermarket.
But he wasn't. But his mission in the supermarket was to get Frosties or something. So it wasn't quite. You move your car, buddy. But on the mission, he's fairly stoic and composed. And at the end of the movie, he's the first person to be like, I want to give up my share of the money to the Red family trust. Then I think Pascal's fairly all right next, because he's just like,
Fine.
he's a nice enough guy. Coke rap, who cares? It's just drugs. Headland in the middle, because you know he's clearly a psycho MAGA guy,
Yeah.
but he's also fairly generic, and he's a couple of glints of maybe being a human being. And then the top two worst guys, it's between our
It is.
our two guys.
Affleck
here.
shoots the villager, right? First. He starts that whole thing.
Yeah, it's
So-
also his fault that they're behind on the mission and have to kill all the guys in the house,
Yeah.
because he can't stop getting more money.
Yeah.
And they're like, they get really pissed off about, we've never missed an out. We're always a precision team, and you're not thinking straight, buddy. We've enough money.
Yeah.
So his greed consumes him. He wants to kill Ardria Arjona and her brother. Yeah, he ran like he. It's his fault that the villagers get shot dead. So he just becomes like, he just loses it. This is the captain of the team, and he just loses it. Like, he just becomes an asshole. But you could argue that Oscar Isaac is the worst in total because he's like a drug pusher on these guys. He won't take no for an answer. He drags them into this. And he's also very, I think, callous when it comes to just like what he does. He's a private military guy, which isn't good, obviously. And he's very just like, I want to kill this drug lord. It's going to make this place better. It's like, you don't even believe that, man. So
it's a personal grievance at this point, like that.
Yeah.
You just haven't.
He
been able to get
hides
him
his
yourself.
motivations better behind his charm and his smile than Affleck does, who is just so visibly pathetic in this.
Yes.
So you're easier fooled by him. I guess you do have to stop and think about it and be like, this is all his fault.
that's why it's a great use of Affleck.
Yeah, it is.
And again, it's kind of like, you wonder, like, why would you take this role? Because it's like, much like Gone Girl is using you in a meta-textual way. This is doing the same thing. And again, spoilers for this movie, but like with half an hour left to go, Ben Affleck just gets shot in the fucking head.
Yeah. I think that Ben Affleck loves being used like this. I think that he thinks that it adds to the mythos around him as this one-of-a-kind, crazy character that people love to joke about. I think he loves the attention. There's nothing that he would hate more than to not be the center of attention. And the more that people turn him into this kind of like tool for explaining the concept of a midlife crisis through filmmaking, I think that he's like, yes.
But he's not doing it in an insecure way where he has to be the top guy and everything, where he's like, I can't be depicted on screen as losing
I think
fights
playing
kind
the
of thing.
pathetic little king in The Last Duel is like a movie he wrote is like an incredible role for him to take, of like, I'm going to be this supporting villain character in a Matt Damon vehicle. And I think that it's like I think all of these films within a 3 or 4 year window, including The Way Back, demonstrate like a new mindset he has post Batman of like, just do what you want with me and I'll go along with it, you know.
Even Deep Water, which was a disappointment, his character in that is a psychopath.
True, that's a similar one in this vein. I don't remember anything about Deep Water.
You must remember a couple of
I
hilarious
remember
bits
that
at the
there
end.
was a slug farm in his house, and that our friend who appeared on our friend of the show, Owen, who appeared on our Nice Guys episode, has a phobia of snails and slugs. And I put it on when he was in the house, and he was like, "Turn this off!" And then the same thing happened when I put on Memoir of a Snail when we were staying in Krakow a few months ago. I did it twice by mistake. But anyway.
Tracy Letts' exit in that movie is
Tracy Letts like chase them through the fucking woods at the end,
and he
on a bike
crashes his car while
Yeah.
sending a celebratory text to his wife. It's very
I think
funny.
the issue with that movie is that it's just not the classic line erotic thriller we were sold.
Yes, we were promised, oh my god, this is the basic instinct of the
And it's
2020s.
not interested in the sexual side of it enough. It's got too much else going on.
No, he kisses her on her behind at one
That's
point,
it,
and you're like, oh my god,
so racy.
Yeah, I'm like, lads, go back to 1992.
Problem with that film is that it went straight to fucking Hulu or whatever.
Amazon, I think.
It never even got the slightest opportunity to have a real cultural moment.
No, but I think Affleck is good in it because he's just playing this absolute lunatic.
He is good in it. Yeah, no, I think he's taking all these roles with complete. He is the most self-aware movie star that currently exists. I really think he's not doing any of this by accident, and there might be a certain vanity to the fact that he's willing to do it, but it's really interesting, and it makes every new choice he makes so compelling to me, because I'm literally like, what's he going to be willing to do next?
What performances did you guys like in this film?
Mostly Affleck. I didn't think Oscar Isaac really registered for me in this. Like, the character was interesting, but I don't think that role could not have been played by Pedro Pascal if you swap them around. Like, I don't think Oscar Isaac was uniquely suited to that part.
I think Oscar Isaac just has like the most incredible face I've ever seen.
Well, he's such a beautiful man.
Yeah.
I don't think like
His hair is amazing in this as well.
There's a very specific number of roles Oscar Isaac has done that he has brought his qualities to in a unique way, and often he is misused. And I would put this right in the middle of like, I don't think the role was necessarily.
I don't know. I think
I
think he's an incredible sternness in his brow that like
that adds to this.
Yeah, absolutely. He's very clearly operating slightly different to the other four, where he's not. He's got more of an intensity to him than the other guys, and he's more of a distinct character, I think, than
He has
Pedro and Hunnam and.
he has one of the funniest lines in this film when after, again, the mule goes flying off the cliff and Affleck just laughs at the situation.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, hey man, why are you laughing? And Oscar Isaac goes, that's a living animal. Show us some respect. Because he seems like such a sociopath otherwise.
Oscar Isaac's really funny, like, and he's never really done pure comedy, unless you consider Llewyn Davis pure comedy. But like, I feel like should be put in more of these kind of like semi-satirical projects, because he's really good at doing that kind of like asshole shtick in a funny way.
He could have played the killer, I think, in Fincher's movie.
Yes, true. He could have. Yeah,
because he has that kind of washed out sociopath thing on occasion. Like he can be very Cypher-like, but in a very interesting way.
I haven't seen the card counter. Is that a bit of that?
It was disappointing, but it's similar, and there is journaling and voiceover because it's the Paul Schrader thing.
Yeah,
but I thought it was of the supposed trilogy. I thought it was the least best one. I thought Master Gardener was better than most people think it is, and obviously First Reformed is amazing. So, but yeah, like Oscar Isaac, in fairness, like Star Wars didn't fuck him up as much as I thought it could have.
No, we'll talk about Oscar Isaac now. I think the Star Wars role is so forgotten now. I think it's really weird. Like John Boyega and Daisy Ridley's careers kind of being at a standstill is almost more in the public consciousness than the fact that Oscar Isaac was in them. If you ask 10 people on the street, like who were the new young actors in those Star Wars prequels, you're getting Adam Driver every time, and maybe they'll remember one of the other two. Oscar Isaac is not being.
So you don't think Poe Dameron has surpassed Han Solo as a Halloween costume?
Like, I don't know how they fucked that one up so bad when they had such a charming actor on their hands, and there's just no real place for him in any of them. I would include the first one, which is the most functional of the three.
You know, the whole like I'm not like a big Star Wars guy, but the whole point of that character was he was meant to die.
Right.
Like when the crash happens
in the first one, he's meant to die.
That's meant to be it.
Okay, sure.
And then I guess test audiences or someone somewhere was like, you can't do that to Oscar Isaac. You got to keep him in. So they didn't have a plan for him.
Yeah.
And then it turns into this kind of, is there gay tension between these two characters? No, and we'll go out of our way to show you that here's a black woman for John Boyega, and here's Zori Bliss for Oscar Isaac, who he gets to like make moon faces at, and then she's like, not in your life, buddy. And I was like, this is just so embarrassing. And that also happens around the same time as, remember, Star Wars went big on, and The Rise of Skywalker is going to have the first gay kiss between two characters.
And it was out of focus in the background.
Out of focus in the background with like a giant slug man like next to it. I was like, brilliant, excellent, good job.
That's why friend of the show Owen is scared of that.
Slugs, but no, it's just like an extraordinary botching of somebody's potential in a franchise. And the insane thing that happens is that he also ends up doing the same thing in X-Men Apocalypse and in Moon Knight. There are 3 separate occasions where Oscar Isaac is cast in a franchise and they don't squeeze even a tiny drop of charisma out of him.
He hated Star Wars as well, because he was doing interviews by the end of it just openly ragging on it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, it is odd, because again,
he didn't need it. By the time he was cast in it, he was already slightly too big to be in that part, I think.
X-Men Apocalypse is very funny, because he looks like a Power Rangers villain. And
but he's unrecognizable. He's completely
buried in prosthetics.
That could be some sort of Doug Jones type actor, someone who's good with prosthetics. Why does it need to be Oscar Isaac? He does not speaking in his own voice. He's not using his facial expressions. He's playing like a blue Egyptian wizard god who goes to Auschwitz and traumatizes Michael Fassbender and Olivia Munn by, I don't know, creating some weird tornado around the gas chamber.
I reviewed that movie, and I remember going to see it in, I think it was the Savoy, possibly.
I think that movie is enjoyable.
But I remember going to see it on an early morning and just sitting there being like, what the fuck is this? I was like, this is outrageous.
Everything in that film I enjoy. Everything except the scenes that Oscar Isaac is in.
Right.
I think all of the other stuff and all of the Magneto, Xavier,
Fassbender's giving it too much credibility. There's a very funny bit though with Oscar Isaac early on when he puts his hand on a television screen and rolls his eyes back in his head like the Undertaker.
Yes.
And a character's like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Learning."
That's great. I love when gods have to learn from the TV. Well, that's where all the information
God is in the television, as you know. I guess, sorry, just to wrap up Trip Frontier before we get to the filmographies. It all ends quite badly. They bring the body home. They come home with very little money. They give all the money away to Affleck's family. And the ending teaser is kind of... Hunnam has memorized the coordinates of all the money that they've dumped in the mountains, and maybe Oscar Isaac can go back and get it. Quadruple Frontier coming soon to Netflix. Look, what I will say is, I recognize it's hardly a classic, but I do think that, especially considering the slop that we get on streaming all the time, I think it's a cut above. I also do like how kind of weird it gets and how bleak it is, because I think it's very clear that these guys are jerks. And also, you used the word nightmare earlier on, and I did find myself being like, well, this is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, if I found myself in this situation, whatever about, you know, gangs of gunmen coming to get me and I've got loads of money with me, just like the prospect of being stuck in somewhere in Brazil and it's freezing cold, or you're trying to climb a mountain, I'm like, honestly, I'm putting a gun to my fucking head. Like it's over.
Yeah.
Like not a chance.
No.
Like that is just like.
I don't want to be the main character in a survival thriller.
Day 3 of a festival, I'm like, all I want is my bed.
Yeah.
The notion that I was in this
You're
situation.
in day 3 of your triple frontier, you're like, no,
forget
thanks.
it. Yeah, forget it. So
No.
I like how existentially horrible it gets.
Yeah, no, I thought the most enjoyable part of this was kind of how restrained it was and how it kept the scale of the violence and the action quite small. Where like the most affecting thing is Ben Affleck getting shot, and that is kind of a one bullet incident. Like it's not.
Yeah. It's not built up to it all. It just happens all of a sudden.
Yeah, and he gets shot from behind and he's gone. You're like, oh fuck.
Doesn't even say a word.
No.
Don't. He doesn't
It's a
sit there
good,
dying.
undignified
He doesn't,
death for your star to have.
yeah, he doesn't give a dying words. He's gone.
Yeah. It's
Um,
realistic. Yeah.
I really like the heist scene of them waiting for everyone to come back from mass. I thought the whole timing
clock
and
is good,
tension,
yeah.
the ticking clock, I thought was excellent.
Yeah.
Like I usually kind of don't care for these kind of actiony tension sequences, but this one I was like sitting there like, oh shit, are they coming back? Are they coming back?
Now, do you think this film is heavily inspired by William Friedkin's Sorcerer? Because I went and watched it last night to try and construct an argument there, and I was like, there's a truck out in the jungle, but that's kind of it. Like,
I saw a 3-star letterbox rating, Lucien, and I gotta say I'm upset.
that's not my kind of.
And I only saw it for the first time in the last year or so, but it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, maybe it'll grow on me later in life. I don't know.
I think it is inspired by that, definitely. Granted, there isn't a sequence where they have to drive a truck over explosive bridges or whatever,
No.
but definitely, yeah, it's that kind of thing of being lost in a world that you think you know, but actually you don't, and it's just it's great. It's greater than you, and it's full of all kind of threats. So, and I don't even love jungle set movies or exotic locations,
I hate
but
jungle set movies.
they can be very boring. Like that was, I think I was saying earlier on about the Raid movies. Like they didn't make the third Raid movie, and your man Gareth Evans, it is Evans, right?
Yeah.
Edwards is the other guy.
Yeah.
He was kind of saying, oh, well, it would have been set in a jungle. And I was like, oh, well, there goes my interest. Like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but like, I want urban sprawl.
Yes. The problem with the jungle is that nothing is going to emerge in a jungle that's going to surprise you that much. You kind of know what's in a jungle. It's
Which isn't to say that films like Platoon aren't brilliant. I just
like
don't.
being underwater. There's only one thing that way and one thing that way.
Yeah, I
you
don't
know?
like underwater movies too often either. They don't really do it for me.
No.
There's no. You're like jungle as well. Your kind of sense of location is gone because it's so enclosed.
Yeah. Whereas if you're in the desert, at least you can see stuff in the distance.
Also, the Peruvian mountains are fucking sick.
They're class. All the
really
mountains
cool.
look
The film looks good, right? Like it does look
does,
good.
yeah. It actually completely avoids getting into camping movie territory, which is something we've identified as like a bad feature of a film. I picked up.
It was shot by Roman Yasyanov, who seems to work a lot with David Ayer. He shot Suicide Squad, Fury, Bright, End of Watch, and that's basically his entire career in Hollywood. Interesting.
Oh, okay.
What was the camping thing?
I think it's just it's a certain. A lot of films sometimes will just fall into a camping second act. And
What did we see last week that you described as a camping?
28 years later.
Oh yeah,
There's a little bit of camping. I think the ultimate camping movie is The Dark Tower.
Oh god,
where
yeah.
maybe that's where it kind of originated from. Where like just as soon as people are kind of on a journey and sitting down,
Sitting
chatting
around a campfire, like where will we go tomorrow? Like
Yeah,
that's why you don't
it's
really
just-
like
it
you don't like
sucks
Lord of
the
the Rings
energy out of
either. I think.
No, but I'll return to that at some point.
There's a bit of camping movie to that as well.
There is,
like,
but that kind of has its own magical.
we're going to
mystical
sleep
thing.
and we will journey
Sure,
west
sure.
tomorrow. You hate that shit. Like
Do
it stops the motion right in its tracks. Like,
this never gets stuck. Thankfully, it keeps moving.
Yeah.
There's always a different.
Even its camping scene is actually quite well done because it's the thing about burning the money.
Yeah.
And it's that thing of they're laughing at the situation while they're freezing. They're burning the money that they've stolen. They're freezing to death, and it's that kind of morbid.
That's it. The camping for them is not a break from what they're doing to
No.
do some exposition.
Yeah.
It's part of the part of the torture,
part of the punishment, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I really, really enjoy, because again, I think if you make this film, you could very easily make this as, it could be Lone Survivor,
Yes.
which is just the most
There's a David Ayer and a Peter Berg version.
jingoistic
Yeah.
fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And I often come back to Lone Survivor and how there's a line. Have you seen that movie, by the way? It's worth watching for just how ridiculous it is, because it's Mark Wahlberg, Taylor Kitsch, Ben Foster, and I can't remember, Emil Hirsch, I think.
Maybe.
So it's four lads. It is based on a true story, but it's four lads four brave American soldiers in Afghanistan. Why are they in Afghanistan? Who cares? And then it's like they end up fighting about. They kill like 200 people, and in the end, like they kind of go down one by one. Spoiler in the title, I suppose. But there's a sequence where like Ben Foster says something like, "It's like, you can die for your country, I'm gonna live for mine." And I'm just like, what? Like, who is this for? Like, it's the kind of film where at the end of that movie you would expect to be taken to a page to sign you up to the US Army.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas in this film, I think it's not that. I think if you take that message from me, you're really not seeing the movie. This should be very much like, Jesus Christ, these guys are animals, and they made a stupid, greedy mistake, and boy, did they pay for it. You know, like it is a moral tale, I think, and it's not. I don't think the film is on their side.
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think there's any way you could read that. If you
Unfortunately, I think stupid people who watch this will see Ben Affleck died to provide for his daughter, and he got all the money at the end. He's like, "That's a
They'll see
real
that as a
man.
heroic
He's a real
sacrifice."
man. What a hero!"
Yeah,
Like,
perhaps there's nothing we can do about those people.
No.
They're out there, and we can't stop
and
them.
they're joining the army and getting guns as we speak.
Back to Oscar Isaac. After a string of supporting roles in stuff like Robin Hood, Sucker Punch, Drive, which he's good in, and The Bourne Legacy, his big breakout, 2013, where I'm first made aware of him, is Inside Llewyn Davis, which is one of the great breakout roles of the entire movie's built around him and his very specific energy. And like the Coens have done this a number of times over the years with kind of mid-level stars that they've given a really, really great central role to. My main example being Michael Stuhlbarg in Serious Man, which is like my favorite film. And I think that Oscar Isaac should have probably won Best Actor that year for Inside Llewyn Davis. Like, that film would not work without him, so it's kind of crazy that people could like love that film and not want to reward its star. But I don't think he's ever really reached that level again for me of like doing something really unique and special. But he's come close a few times, perhaps. But he very soon after is in the movie The Two Faces of January, which is a Patricia Highsmith adaptation with Viggo Mortensen and Kirsten Dunst, which I watched about a week ago, which is like a real like low rent Patricia Highsmith, like trying really hard to be talented Mr. Ripley, and just doesn't have any of that.
It's also in. I haven't seen it. It's in that kind of. And I would echo everything you said. But Llewyn Davis is a 5-star film for me. 5-star performance. I adore it.
Yeah.
But Two Faces of January, that's in my favorite genre of film, which is movies that don't exist.
No, it doesn't exist at all.
Nothing. No cultural footprint.
Three
nothing.
huge stars and no cultural footprint.
Yeah.
Like, we could absolutely do that on this podcast if we wanted to lose all of our listeners. Where are you at on Ex Machina?
I like it.
I saw it at the time and I haven't revisited it.
I watched it relatively recently, and it was the first time I'd seen it since it came out. I like the film. I think I'm a 3 on it, maybe 3.5. It's got moments.
I don't think he's the part of that people reflect on strongly. I feel like Donald Gleeson and Alicia Vikander is what people liked about that.
I think the best
dances in it.
That's the best bit in the film, though, when he's like, now watch me tear up the fucking dance
It
floor.
contributed to his sexy image in the concept.
He's very sexy.
Yeah.
I'll say that much. That film is okay. Like, I really struggle with Alex Garland, and this is coming from someone who thinks Sunshine is a 5-star masterpiece, and he wrote that. I also like The Beach, the film, and I like the book as well. But I think the more I see of Garland, the less I'm interested. Although I did like 28 Years Later.
I think 28 Years Later is my favorite Alex Garland
more than
script,
I didn't. Yeah,
and I think that he's being forced to go in the other direction to his other recent stuff.
Ex Machina is a better Black Mirror than most Black Mirrors, and I hate Black Mirror, so take from that what you will.
Yeah. Interesting. He's in the miniseries Show Me a Hero, which is the David Milch, which is the David
Simon, I believe.
Simon, which is about like the what's the crazy name of the estate where it's set? It's set in like one of these villages in upstate New York that has a crazy name. I'll tell you folks in about 3 seconds. Yonkers. He plays like a real mayor who made Yonkers nice. The original, what's the mayor?
Gentrification?
What's Mr. Mayor's name?
Rudy Giuliani?
Zoran.
Oh, the new guy. All right,
The new guy.
The original Zoran.
And this is a pretty good miniseries that I remember enjoying at the time when I was getting interested in like how one man can make a difference in politics stories as a teenager. And Winona Ryder and Alfred Molina are in it, and directed by Paul Haggis, and John Bernthal's in it, who pops up a lot in the Affleck. How is John Bernthal not in Triple Frontier?
It's baffling.
Sorry, I looked at the alternative casting for this of who was meant to be in it. We didn't talk about this. We need to go through this.
I actually don't know this, so this is going to be interesting for me.
In October 2010, so first of all, very important to say, this was meant to be a Catherine Bigelow movie.
Oh.
And was written by Mark Bowl, who is her screenwriting partner. And she was attached to this for a long time. So, with that in mind, Tom Hanks and Johnny Depp both entered talks to join the cast of the film to be directed by Catherine Bigelow. And this was straight after The Hurt Locker is finished. In November 2010, Hanks was officially announced as cast. However, Bigelow and Bowl decided to go do Zero Dark 30 instead because they wanted to rush that. Then Chandor took over, and then Will Smith is in talks for a lead role. It was called Sleeping Dogs at this point. Then Chandor officially signs on. Then Depp is back in conversation for it. Then Will Smith leaves. So Hanks, Depp, and Smith are all in the circle here. Then Channing Tatum and Tom Hardy are in talks to join the film.
I can see that.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Makes way more sense. Depp and Hanks no longer up for roles. Then Mahershala Ali joins the cast, with Tatum and Hanks officially signed on. Then it's dropped by Paramount. Tatum and Hardy are no longer involved, but Mahershala Ali is still involved. Ben Affleck and Casey Affleck both join. Then Ben exits the film. Mark Wahlberg joins, then exits. Then Ben Affleck comes back, and then the last person to quit is Mahershala Ali, and then it goes into production.
Christ.
So insane how many people are in the mix there. How the fuck does Tom Hanks fit into this in the 2010s? He's already too old at that point.
He's got to be the Affleck character, surely.
But all the other guys would have to be aged up.
Yeah.
And like even people like Wahlberg and Mahershala Ali are too young to be playing opposite Hanks as veterans. That's really weird.
I really didn't think
Hanks
those
isn't
kind
a
of
muscly man. Like he's a
mega high profile Hanks Depp would be willing to play characters that are essentially committing crimes against
I
humanity.
don't understand. It all sounds so made up. But
villagers.
there's real sources for all of that. Like,
Making a movie sounds really complicated, doesn't it?
yeah, it sounds insane. I'd love to be a producer. It'd
Like
be
we
great.
said-
Imagine the amount of sleep you'd get and like the amount of healthy meals you'd eat during the day.
When's the last time Tom Hanks held an assault rifle in a movie?
I can't. Is Tom Hanks ever
Saving
Held
Private
a
Ryan, but
gun
that's a World War II thing.
in
like.
a movie where he wasn't a soldier?
I haven't seen Finch, but I assume he has some sci-fi weapon.
Oh, he might have a sci-fi weapon in Finch. True. Well, anyway, Mahershala Ali being in this would give it, I think, a 10% boost for me. I think he's
Who would so
phenomenal.
you slot out Headland, put in Mahershala Ali.
I think you'd get Pedro.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause
I think
he'd be good in that role.
Yeah.
I think he'd be good as like the kind of nice helicopter.
Like Mahershala
guy.
can't be the young guy that's like
No.
the little baby brother type.
No.
Like
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I think Mahershala Ali makes everything better.
Oh, yeah.
and
so
he'd be great
he's
in
either
it.
doing the Oscar Isaac part or he's doing the
The Oscar
Pedro
Isaac part would make a lot of sense for him
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not the Affleck part.
No way.
Not a chance. No.
But he'd be great. No, the Affleck part, obviously, Wahlberg makes sense for that, although it would be nowhere near as good. And then Channing Tatum and Tom Hardy, I guess we're just playing the other guys.
the
Like,
brothers probably. Yeah.
so weird. Like those would not be good enough roles for actors of their stature. I don't think. Like Tom Hardy could not have that little dialogue in a film. He's too big of a name.
He'd love that though. He'd just make noise.
He would go.
He'd be the MMA fighter. Definitely. Yeah, that's
yeah,
him.
exactly.
He'd be the donkey.
Oscar Isaac in 2016 is in the Terry George movie, The Promise, which is so random. The Irish filmmaker Terry George made this film, like a Middle Eastern conflict thing with Christian Bale and Oscar Isaac, like the last film he directs. Suburbicon is the fake Coen's movie that Clooney directs with
George Clooney's
Damon.
directorial career.
garbage. Like
Fuck
Suburbicon
it.
is so bad. Like it's a Coen's rejected script that Clooney picks up and makes. It's really bad. And it's such a pity to see Oscar Isaac in a fake Coen's movie a couple years after he is like one of the great Coen's leading men. Annihilation I haven't seen.
Really?
More. I'm not into Alex Garland.
It's not
Like,
great, and
I'm not going to watch it. I
It's
don't
not
want to
great.
see it. Like,
He's okay in it, I suppose, but it's not
Sure.
great. It's very style over substance.
he's in the sort of like famously terrible Life Itself, which is the Dan Fogelman movie, which I haven't seen. Antonio Banderas and him and Olivia's Cook and Wild. Yes, both. And Annette Bening. Wow. I mean, that's
Girl Party.
That's a girl party. That's a unisex party if ever there was one. He is a voice in Into the Spider-Verse, which does not interest me.
Oh, he's good in that though.
Yeah, it doesn't interest me. No,
They're
thank
good.
you.
Those movies
no
are good.
interest. No interest. 2021, you have this then big shift into dad mode in Dune, which is, I think, a mistake for him because it pigeonholes him now as a middle-aged fatherly type, which he's not quite ready to abandon being the young hot guy, I don't think.
So he's a young man in Llewyn Davis. He's early 30s.
But he's really good in Dune. Like, so I'm glad he's
He
in
is,
it for
yeah.
the sake of the movie, but I don't think that it helped him being offered, interesting parts. as a mid-30s.
It's also
Timothy Chalamet's father, like
it's such a setup role as well. He's there to die.
You know he's going to die from the start, even as someone who hadn't read the book.
And he dies in extremely unceremonious fashion as well.
Yeah.
It's no, I'm saying I haven't read the book, but I was
but
like,
he's good in it. Like he's really good.
very good.
He adds a lot to it.
Yeah, he's very believable.
And then
Looks incredible as always.
Did you watch The Year of Dune? He's also in the remake of Bergman's Scenes from a Marriage with Jessica Chastain, reunited from Most Violent Year, which is really good. It's 4 episodes, an hour each, and every episode starts with the camera following the actor from their makeup chair to the set of the first scene.
Okay,
So
that could or couldn't work.
I
so.
really buy into that kind of bullshit. I was like, this is so meta. It's showing us the seams of the filmmaking.
Have you seen that Weekend movie? The recent
Oh
movie?
yeah, I did. Yeah,
It ends like that.
Yeah, that ends like that. No, that had lost me so far beforehand.
Yeah,
But
it's not good.
Scenes from a Marriage remake, I like, and it's mostly I like it because it's 2 really, really beautiful people.
Was
kind
it
of-
was it this film? Was this press tour that everyone was like, they fucking?
I don't remember. Maybe that was that. It wasn't during Most Violent Year. It probably was.
I
that.
think on this, everyone was
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, they're definitely having an
funny.
illicit affair.
Because she won her Oscar about 3 months after that show aired, and I think it instantly vanished. No one remembers
for a
it.
film that doesn't
for a film that
exist.
doesn't exist. But that's a show that doesn't exist. It's good. It's like the 2 of them, having a marital breakdown, and that's the kind of thing I really like.
Do you? Oh, sorry, of course. Sorry, I've listened to Marriage Story.
Beautiful people,
a film I'll never watch.
arguing and breaking up and arguing over their child. I'm like, yes, give this to me. I love Kramer. I love Marriage Story, and I love Scenes.
I can't stand. I just. And I don't come from a broken home. My parents
neither
were
do
happily
I.
married, but it doesn't like marital strife. I just find very draining.
Interesting. No, I love it. I find it so interesting. I feel like you get to show your characters at their best and at their worst within seconds of each other. It's good for a screenwriter to have that material. I don't know.
I think the best marital strife movie is Mrs. Doubtfire.
I hate Mrs. Doubtfire
Because you should, because it's an insane film.
evil movie. No,
it's an
horrible.
insane film. Sally Field is well within her rights to divorce this psychopath.
Awful. I went to San Francisco last year and there was just billboards everywhere for Mrs. because it's set there. There was billboards everywhere for Mrs. Doubtfire the musical, and we just spent the entire time there just going, hello. I hate Mrs. Doubtfire. Anyway,
It's a
Oscar
wild,
Isaac
wild
then
movie.
is cast as Moon Knight, and truly that is the end of his career. Goodbye. He's fucked now. He's fucked. Like there's nothing else
Completely
coming
forgot
up for
about
him.
Moon Knight.
He is in Del Toro's Frankenstein later this year. Is basically he's playing Victor Frankenstein. But
Okay.
Moon Knight fucking sucks. It's so bad.
Is that TV or is that
That's
film?
a Marvel
TV.
Disney Plus.
It was the
series.
first thing. It was the first thing I reviewed for Orty Arena.
right.
And I don't
Lucky
think
you.
I
Trying to
jumped-
explain to Sean Rocks what Moon Knight does. Like,
That it was a song. He was like, "Watch the Moon Knight." Sorry, I do that impression with love. I love Sean Rox. He's awesome. But
your
like,
man.
hang on, it was like I think it was 6 episodes, and I'm pretty sure I never watched episode 6.
oh my god, I watched the whole thing. Ethan Hawke shows up kind of like episode
Sorry,
2 or
that's the
3,
second
and
I
Ethan
couldn't
Hawke is like,
remember who it was.
"I'm a hippie, I'm scary," and like, we're gonna talk about Ethan Hawke maybe next week or the week after.
I was
but,
very
like,
upset that like Gaspard Ulliel pops up in it.
Oh, yeah?
and it was he died like 3 months prior or something in a
Oh,
skiing
right.
accident, and I was like, oh, there goes that guy who was actually
Yeah.
turned into a pretty good actor after the Hannibal Rising thing, and
Yeah,
now
yeah,
he's
yeah.
dead. It's interesting because I was gonna think, I was like, what have I seen Oscar Isaac in recently? And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, nothing.
No, nothing. So Frankenstein's coming out soon. There's 2 Frankenstein movies out this year. I am far and away more interested in the Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jessie Buckley one, which they're describing as punk rock, Bride of Frankenstein, which it could be terrible, but it sounds at least like it
Who's
has
the
a-
director there?
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh, she's
the
directing
director.
it. Okay, right. Sorry.
That sounds like it has an idea.
Yeah.
And it's Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale. And then the Guillermo del Toro one is a Netflix original with like really flat color grading. There's a trailer out. It looks so uninteresting. It's who's the woman? Mia Goth?
See, I
Oh,
used
yeah.
to,
Nothing for me.
I used to adore and worship everything Guillermo del Toro did, but unfortunately, he has kind of lost me. In recent
Always
years.
has my attention, and
I
rarely
love him.
has my. I thought the Pinocchio was incredible. I have the Criterion sitting over there on the
Mm-hmm.
shelf. The nose extends out of the box. It's great. I thought that was his best film since Hellboy 2.
You probably both find this really boring, but
Mm.
because obviously aforementioned guns conversation, etc. But of course, I am a middle-aged man who loves the film Heat. I have read Heat 2. I want them to make the film, and I do want Oscar Isaac to play the Pacino role.
And who do you want in the De Niro role?
Well,
Driver?
Adam Driver
Ben Affleck did play the
has been the default talk, and of course Austin Butler as the Val Kilmer role.
Yeah.
I think would be absolutely perfect. But I do think Oscar Isaac as Pacino would actually be perfect
Yes.
for this.
Were Adam Driver and Oscar Isaac in scenes together in Star Wars, or has their only
They're in
appearance
scenes together in
been
Llewyn Davis. Oh, yeah.
Speaking of which, the third person in that famous scene, Justin Timberlake, who I saw in concert on Saturday, folks, and boy was I tempted to shout, "Play, please, Mr. Kennedy!" But then I got distracted wanting him to play the Mr. Fish song from Popstar, "Never Stop, Never Stopping," and I was like, "Damn, This guy is involved in so many things that I love. Like he's in Social Network, Inside Llewyn Davis, and Popstar, 3 of the best films.
You
of
were
the
also
2010s.
distracted by another U.S. presidential piece of media there. A man's T-shirt featuring George Bush.
Oh, a man was behind me at Timberlake had a T-shirt with George Bush being whispered to on 9/11, and it said, "Sir, a second penis has entered my ass."
Jesus Christ.
And people kept stopping him and being like, "Where did you get that?"
There's kids here.
There was kids everywhere. He was like
Fucking
a very heterosexual man in a group of like lads and women with lots of cans.
Oh, he's
like,
heterosexual.
He was very heterosexual.
Oh, you shouldn't be like, where though?
No, he was there with his
Heterosexual.
girlfriend. Like it was
Because also like you saw what it's Pride weekend as well, wasn't that weekend?
yeah,
So that would
it
make
was a bit
sense.
homophobic. Like
Yeah, like if when you break that down,
lol, gay,
Yeah,
humor, like
not
that.
great.
Just-
Justin Timberlake concert.
yeah. Anyway, we're at 58 minutes, and Ben Affleck has the densest fucking career of
Let's
all
do it.
time. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
So, as you mentioned, Dave, you're a little bit older than us,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Ben Affleck was only making his comeback when we were old enough to be engaging with Ben Affleck movies, right? So I'm interested to hear from the olden days. what was your relationship with Ben Affleck when he was cool and young and making Kevin Smith movies and winning his Good Will Hunting Oscar? Because I only knew of him as a loser who came back and became interesting again in a kind of ironic way. You know?
Yeah, back when all this were fields, gather around,
Yes.
children. Kevin Smith was my way in because I'm a cliche. I was a big Kevin Smith guy when I was growing up.
I'm sure I would have been too. Now I can't. I can't get into
yeah,
it. Like,
no, I've always said like I grew up and he didn't, but
Yes.
yeah, he seems like an ultimately in.
I love his podcast
Yes.
appearances. I wish he would stick to that and not make movies.
Yeah, his like Evening with Kevin Smith, the first one he ever did,
Yeah.
is genuinely great and some great stories in there.
Your bad review made me go watch the 4:30 movie, which I honestly like found watchable, but was horrendously navel gazy. Like, I mean, it made the Fablemans look incredibly egoless. Like,
more than one character says to him,
man, you know a lot.
You know a
about
lot. You
movies.
sure do know a lot about movies. Clerks, though, was wonderful. And if Mallrats comes around, Ben Affleck is in Mallrats playing a horrible character. He basically plays like a fucking rapist in that movie, but he's a bully.
He's not far off in Chasing Amy either. You know,
Well, Chasing Amy is.
I watched Chasing Amy for this.
First time seeing it.
First time seeing it. Yeah.
Shane, have you seen Chasing Amy?
I have not.
Chasing Amy is it's a problematic movie, but I do think it was kind of revolutionary
well-intentioned,
at the time.
like,
And like my brother's gay, and I do think that I'm pretty sure he liked it quite a bit. Now I never sat down with him and I was like, "Did Chasing Amy speak to you?" I don't. But Kevin Smith has always said. Kevin Smith said in that evening thing before, because there's a moment in it when. Because it's him going to colleges. I'm sorry, I know this is off topic for Affleck, but I'll get back to it in 2 seconds. Basically, like at one stage, this woman gets up and she goes, "Hello, I'm gay, and I watched Chasing Amy, and I actually found it really offensive." And he was kind of saying, like, I don't think he successfully, like, he certainly like tamps down the situation, and she wasn't being in any way like combative. She was just like, you know, there's a line in the movie where someone says, "All a lesbian needs is a good deep dicking," and Smith's contention was, well, the Jason Lee character says that, and he's an idiot, and that's the point of the character. But he makes Kevin makes the point that his brother is gay, and he would always put gay stuff in his films, not as a horrible slight, but you know, gay humor. And yeah, like I think on the balance of things, he does do that. And while there's juvenile shit in all his movies, generally I think he was relatively progressive, and I do think that Chasing Amy at the time in some circles was relatively progressive, but for others it wasn't. Because I mean, it's kind of the Fight Club thing where it's like, my takeaway from Chasing Amy was, well, the Ben Affleck character is a fucking idiot who fucks it up massively at the end of the movie, is absolutely horrible to the Joey Lauren Adams character, and the Jason Lee character obviously is an idiot as well. So she's the beacon of light over here. She's the person who's, and all of which is to say as well, though, that there was a documentary that came out recently called Chasing Amy, which is well worth seeing, and it's about a young filmmaker.
Triple Frontier.
Yeah. All of a triple frontier and a side of Coke fries, please.
Yeah.
This documentary is worth checking out because it's about a trans filmmaker who essentially identified massively with the movie, and at one stage this filmmaker interviews Joey Lauren Adams.
Okay.
And Joey Lauren Adams is extremely candid about how much she really did not have a good time making that movie, and she was going out with Kevin Smith, and all kinds of shit was happening, and Harvey Weinstein.
Well, that certainly complicates
It's
that.
all in there, so it's worth checking out. And she comes across, it's just a fascinating interview. Affleck, for me, for the most part in the 90s, was kind of the characters he was playing. He was just this kind of big dumb jock guy. I think I came to Good Will Hunting slightly later, and I do think it's a good movie. It is male wish fulfillment, the movie.
Yeah.
Very much, especially the Minnie Driver character. But it's still a rollicking good watch. It is well written. But then he pops up in, like, you know what, Armageddon, which was not great. I've still never seen Pearl Harbor to this day.
So I haven't seen Pearl Harbor either. I like Armageddon. I think him and Willis have a fun tit-tat in that. That's like a good handover of smarmy guy leading man status from Willis to Affleck, which is a mantle I think he kind of had an opportunity to inherit there and maybe fumbled a little bit.
And he makes crap like Paycheck in 2003, and
I think by the time Paycheck comes around, he's already, because like he's
the J-Lo stuff happened. Daredevil,
small role in Best Picture winning Shakespeare in Love, which is a weird like double kind of Oscar stamp on him there, and then Dogma, then Boiler Room, which I think is great. I love Boiler Room.
I like Boiler Room.
That's a good, fun, stupid movie where he gets to do the Baldwin Glengarry stuff, which I like, and interesting there as well of him being like, is this the new Alec Baldwin? I don't really think so, but because he's doing the Jack Ryan stuff a few years later as well. But
in one of the most boring films ever made.
Yes, which manages to make a nuclear attack on the Super Bowl into a pretty dull third act twist. Some of All Fears, which comes right after Changing Lanes, which I haven't seen.
That is a movie that doesn't exist. It's actually, weirdly enough, it could have Charlie Hunnam's motivation in this movie, because it's about Ben Affleck and Samuel L. Jackson get into some kind of road rage incident together, and then like
there's like racial politics
yes
involved?
there is, and then each man plots to destroy the other man's life.
That's
and
fun.
it's not I recall it being it being a really interesting idea, but it's ultimately a very generic 2003 movie.
Yes, but the double bill 2003 that kills the Affleck run, I guess, is Daredevil and Geely, and then Paycheck is like his kind of, this is when he's fucked, like Paycheck, Surviving Christmas, to a lesser extent Jersey Girl, Man About Town. That's the like 5 years that he has to then turn into a comeback. Smoking Aces, he's just not that into you.
Bad movie.
State of Play, which is like kind of a successful film, but he is in a role there that like,
I love State of Play. And when we talked,
I didn't think it was that great.
I love it.
I suggested it as a potential.
I did. I don't know what it is about that movie. It's a comfort movie for me. It's a 3.5. My friend Mark Conroy once on his letterbox said, like, it doesn't get more Saturday Night ITV2 thriller than this, folks.
No.
And it doesn't. But there's something.
Jason Bateman's good in it.
Yeah.
I heard someone suggest that Edward Norton was maybe up for the role that Affleck played, and I kind of think that would be more interesting.
It probably would have, yeah.
And like Bill Nighy was in the show. I don't know who else was in the show, but like that maybe one of them British actors.
There's lots of that guy went on. Like I think Toby Kebbell is a small role in it, or maybe who am I thinking of? Who plays Q in the Bond movies?
Ben Whishaw.
Ben Whishaw.
Yeah.
Maybe he was in it.
But Daredevil, I've never seen. Geely, I watched a couple of years ago, and I was like, this is like whatever. Anytime someone tells me something is one of the worst films ever made, it never feels like it is when I'm watching it.
You gotta watch Daredevil. It's stupid, but it's fun.
I'm sure I'd like it based on my relationship with stuff like Madam Web or whatever. But Geely is just like with Ballistic X versus Sever or whatever. I'm just like, if you tell me something is garbage and 0%, I'm gonna think it has some merit. And like I thought the Justin Bartha performance in it is obviously objectively heinously offensive, but like Seth Rogen revealed last week he auditioned for that role, funnily enough, and he was like, I
feel like something can't get to the level where it has a label of being absolutely horrible without people being willing to watch it. That requires some word of mouth and people being willing to watch it. Like
Geely doesn't have any real strengths, but like they are a charismatic couple who were together in real life at the time, so there's obviously going to be some sparks visible there.
The just on the subject of the Justin Bartha performance, because for anyone who doesn't know, he's playing a mentally challenged person in a very kind of Forrest Gump style way. Much more offensive to me is, and weirdly just not talked about, Ed Norton's performance in The Score.
Oh, I haven't seen The Score.
The Score.
Does he do that in The Score?
Yes.
At the event we had with him in Dublin last year, he spent a weird amount of time talking about The Score because he wanted to talk about the lessons he learned from Brando and De Niro, which is objectively a great subject to talk about. But it meant that The Score was discussed for like 20-something minutes and no one had seen it.
No, it's 2001, I believe, and that was the entire marketing campaign was Brando, De Niro,
3 generations of
Norton, and it's just like, I'm sorry, but Brando at that point was like fit to be put in a coffin. And meanwhile, Norton at one point, he's pretending to be mentally challenged on more than one. He does like 10 times,
right? And
it is, I'm telling you, it's just go onto YouTube and look it up because it's the most offensive thing you'll ever see.
Christ,
it's astonishing.
Yeah. Well, Geely does such a number on Affleck's career that when he gets up on the stage in 2012 to accept the Oscar for Argo, which isn't, he's a producer who wins the Best Picture Oscar, didn't get a Best Director nomination, didn't get a Best Actor nomination, still seemed to be some resistance there to awarding him specifically as an individual. But he makes this insane speech of like, sometimes life knocks you down and you get back up again. And it's like, buddy, it's only like 8 years since you were the guy. Like, it wasn't like 25 years of not working. Like, I would say Adrian Brody is in a much better position now to claim he as a comeback narrative, where he literally was in nothing but slop and television for 15 years. Like, Ben Affleck was not far off the peak of his career when he's up there saying, oh, things have been so tough. And like,
But I don't think Adrian Brody was ever like a laughingstock.
I think Adrian Brody, maybe not, but he was in stuff like,
You still popping up on the Wes Andersons and
I suppose, yeah. But like, Ben Affleck has already at this point directed Gone Baby Gone, which people really like.
It's
Directed The Town, which is, I think, the best film he's directed, I think.
Which, Gone Baby Gone?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
so.
Yeah. The Town is also fun.
The Town, which is good, which he directs then.
And he's in it. Like it's not. It was a
which is
hit.
good in, and it's a hit. And then you have Argo, which we revisited there 2 weeks
did,
ago, which is fine. I don't think it's as good as Gone Baby Gone or The Town. Ranking the films he's directed, I haven't seen the Live by Night.
Oh, it's
It
terrible.
looks terrible. I would rank probably Gone Baby Gone, Air, The Town, Argo in that order.
Sorry, can you give Air its full title, please?
Air, A Story of True Greatness?
Story of Greatness. Yeah.
Story of Greatness. Shane, pull out the Air soundtrack on vinyl. On the
You don't.
Oh, we do.
It's a complicated story here. Basically, I got the Air soundtrack on vinyl for my coworker as a Christmas Secret Santa present, as a jokey reference to the fact that we had gotten in trouble at work for using the wrong artwork for something. So I bought the soundtrack with the artwork to kind of reference that. But then it got lost in the post, and they sent a second copy for free. And then
nice.
The first copy showed up. So I ended up having a spare. Can you not find it? Oh, forget it. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We'll find it after. Anyway, it has good, it has.
Of course it does, but it's
Dire
also
Straits and,
yeah, but it's just like it's homogenous and it means nothing.
I liked Air a lot. I thought Air was super watchable. Like,
Really?
And it has Jason Bateman and Chris Messina and Matthew Marr and all these guys that we like in it, shouting about shoes and money and basketball.
You
and
should
all.
watch Live by Night because of how bad it is.
I think Chris Messina is in that as well.
He is, and so is Matthew
love
Marr.
Chris
It-
Matthew Marr's in that.
Yeah.
Watch it then.
Playing
those
a-
are our two favorite
playing a
actors in
horrible
the
racist. It's
Jesus.
Ella Fanning is in it.
Okay,
Chris
yeah.
Cooper is
Sienna
in it.
Miller.
Sienna Miller with a terrible Irish accent in it.
Oh, brilliant.
I think Brendan Gleeson's in it possibly.
Yeah, okay.
It's extremely bad. It's such a vanity project.
Sure.
It's such.
They all are. The Town and Argo are insane vanity projects
Yeah.
too. I mean, he casts himself as the coolest guy in both those movies
Yeah.
in different ways. I think The Town is more interesting, although The Town to me is like just Ben Affleck watched The Dark Knight and was like, what if this was set in Boston? Like, it's so fake Christopher Nolan. And then
Yeah.
he kind of pivots to fake Clint Eastwood a little bit, but like Argo is like so by the numbers. It's like probably the least interesting movie you could make about that story.
It's also the most like you could bring your parents to this and they'll be like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I
Thanks
did
for-
see that with my mother in the cinema.
See?
Yeah.
and
Absolutely no faults to it at all. It's kind of like
It's so
Perfectly steady.
Yeah.
It's so stakeless considering what it's about.
The films that trickle out then. So like he wins the Oscar, but he's already kind of signed on and shot 2 other movies, which are Terrence Malick's To the Wonder, which he is really well used in. I have a lot of time for Terrence Malick's late stage stuff, which is just kind of like visual nonsense cinematography porn. Like To the Wonder is a lot of just Ben Affleck and Rachel McAdams like tickling each other, dancing around in fields, running around after each other, doing all of this lovey-dovey stuff. And like, I think Ben Affleck in that mode is so fun to watch because you're just like, all right, you handed yourself over to Terrence Malick and he turned you into a dancer. He turned you into like a prop. And it's really, really something that no other director is going to do with Ben Affleck. And then Runner with my boy Justin Timberlake, which is shite.
Gemma Arterton, I think,
Gemma
might be
Arterton,
the
and that movie
the female
is-
love interest.
Yeah, that film is shite.
I watched it finally about a year ago, and I couldn't tell you anything about it apart from Monte Carlo, Cards, something or other.
It's like the worst version of that type of thing.
It's nothing.
But then the first role, kind of post Argo Oscar success, is his best work of his career, Gone Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just fantastic and takes everything that people find funny and kind of like pathetic about him in real life and like channels it into that character and maybe slightly changes the perspective of the book in order to pay more attention to the Ben Affleck persona, because David Fincher is so interested in Ben Affleck there and how he can use him, and maybe like the book is more interested in the Amy character. But I think him and Rosamund Pike are both fantastic in Gone Girl, and that film has like aged really well.
It's one of the funniest films of the last
so funny
10 years or
and it's aged
whatever.
really well in terms of like the fragile male ego and
Yeah.
like how the media like it's the way that have you seen that Atlanta episode about what if the slave reparations became real? And it's like a white person's worst nightmare of a black person came and took all their money in their house from the perspective of a
Well, that's
racist
Justin
white
Barth,
person.
isn't it?
Yes, that is Justin Bartha.
Justin Bartha is the white guy in that episode.
Gone Girl to me is like that for like a man's worst nightmare of like if the media came after you, like, and like Ben Affleck doing that role as someone who's been tabloid fodder his entire life is so funny.
It's also not surprising that it was him who suggested hiring Emily Ratajkowski
as his mistress. It's so funny.
Classic Ben Affleck.
He was going to reteam with Fincher on a Train remake, which would have been great.
Him and Scoot McNairy possibly, and I was like, that sounds unreal.
That's interesting.
Because Scoot McNairy has a really good cameo in Gone Girl. I was like, this is interesting.
A role in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice,
and he's in Argo as well.
Yeah.
There must be some friendship going on there. Yeah, I remember, but that's also, as people will probably know, there is like a Wikipedia page for David Fincher's unrealized projects because he just keeps saying
we're currently on to era 55 of that. But the Batman thing is insane because he only gets cast as Batman 6 months after Argo, so he's at his highest moment there of I can do whatever the fuck I want. There's a job opening for Batman for Zack Snyder, and he, I guess, is the second choice after Josh Brolin, is the impression I've always gotten. Maybe.
Really?
But like,
too small, surely.
I'm interested in why he thought it was a good idea, in spite of the fact that I actually enjoy him in that role. I think Batman v Superman, I'm one of its biggest defenders. I think that film has a ton of ideas, most of which don't work, but I'm so glad that Snyder was willing to fucking try a bunch of things and see. And then I think the Justice League, both versions are not really worth speaking of. But I think Affleck like does a lot in that film in terms of like, I'm an aggro post 9/11 Bruce Wayne, and I'm fucking angry all the time, and I hang out with Jeremy Irons, and I like it. I don't know.
I didn't like it. Like there are glints and ideas in there, and him kind of legging it down the street. And I'm kind of like, fair enough. It's interesting that you hate Superman, but it's too comical. And I'm not like, I don't hate Zack Snyder. I don't love Zack Snyder. I'm kind of somewhere in between, but. Like, I don't think the Ben Affleck Batman is the worst thing to ever happen, but it's also...
I think he's a more interesting Batman than Robert Pattinson.
I disagree massively.
I think everyone in the world does, except me. Yeah. No, I think the Robert Pattinson Batman is like there's no surprise awaiting me there. Whereas with Ben Affleck, I was like, I'm not really sure what this guy's going to do next. He's a little bit scary. Like, he seems a bit unhinged.
He's definitely unhinged, yeah.
Whereas the Pattinson...
Like, he's branding criminals so that they get shanked in prison. I'm like, what's going on? Why?
And then he gets upset about his mother, The Accountant, we were really excited at the time because we were in like pure post Affleck Gone Girl, like Ben Affleck's really fun and cool guy, and The Accountant was like a big one for us, and then we weren't too super thrilled with it. And then
I just thought it was a really fun novelty that a movie was called The Accountant,
about an autistic assassin accountant.
Yeah.
But like the first Accountant did nothing for us in 2016, and then we
say that, but like the Accountant was never forgotten by us.
Yeah, but
the Accountant was perpetually in our consciousness to the point where when the second one came out, we were like,
we have to see this together. Yeah. But I think we got way more of a kick out of the second one than of the first one, probably due to lowered expectations. But I know you didn't care for the second one.
No, I think it's garbage. I think both those movies are dreadful, and I do not understand how we've ended up in a situation where we're getting a franchise out of The Accountant.
It's weird that there's a second Accountant that many years later, but
he's doing like his performance, particularly in the second Accountant, is highly questionable. Highly questionable.
I enjoyed his chemistry with Bernthal. I enjoyed the J.K. Simmons prologue. I thought that was really fun.
That was good.
I think that the stuff
killed in the trailer, which I found very funny.
Yes, that's funny. I think him running remotely running a school for little kids to do hacking is fun. I think that film is just self-aware enough of how stupid the premise is, whereas the first one was way too serious. I don't know.
Yeah, the first one had kind of him in his house with metal music playing, torturing himself, and they did a real tonal shift there.
Yeah, I don't know. The second one was much more up my street, but I think we were just in the right mood.
I seem to remember the first one has a very good moment where, because John Lithgow is revealed as the villain, isn't he?
I think so.
And I think there's a moment where like Lithgow goes to give some big speech at the end, and they just blow him away, like mid sentence, like see ya. Yeah, no, it's weird. Like I love Den of Thieves and Den of Thieves 2 Pantera.
I haven't seen either of them.
So I'm in that kind of bracket of people on the internet who ride hard for that movie, and I can understand why people don't. The Accountant kind of seems to have a similar cult following.
I think it's just I'm willing to buy into Ben Affleck in literally anything, and I will never feel that way about Jared Butler. That's the problem.
Also, the original Accountant had a stunning trailer and poster.
Oh, with everything in its right place and the jigsaw puzzle stuff. Great.
Yeah, and it also was before the incredible overuse of everything in its right place.
Before it started being everything.
And also before Radiohead became, unfortunately
bad
great,
news.
not great.
But anyway, we talked about The Last Duel. We talked about Deep Water.
Sorry, can I just say on The Last Duel, I think
Yes.
it's an incredibly good film that, and I'm very much on Ridley Scott's side here when he was kind of lamenting that nobody watched it, because I was like, this actually is brilliant.
It's brilliant. I think that is Ridley Scott's best film.
It's such that's a gigantic statement.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous statement, but
I'll let someone else unpack that on a different episode because I know we're going long. What I will say is I think it's a really good movie. Nobody watched it. It's a shame. It's scuzzy and nasty and quite interesting.
And it's Nicole Holofcener pumping the script full of female perspective that you never get in a Ridley Scott movie.
And every male character is gross.
Awful, yeah.
Jodie Comer's brilliant in it.
That's
It's really good, and it just weirdly came out and nobody watched it, and it really annoyed me.
Yeah, no, we're going to do it at some point, I think. Next up on Affleck's schedule is a movie called The Rip with Matt Damon, which is a Netflix original action heist thriller coming out later this year that just sounds identical to The Instigators.
Did we watch the trailer of that recently?
There's no trailer out yet, but
maybe you just showed me the poster.
Who fucking directed this thing?
Joe
Carnahan.
Wow.
Kyle Chandler, Stephen Yeun, Scott Adkins are all in it.
The two boys popped out during Tudum conference.
And then potentially on the cards is the Josh Safdie movie he was going to do with Adam Sandler, which I'd obviously be really excited for. Which would be about like basketball card collecting or something. And then he's apparently going to be directing a movie called Animals that he will star in about the son of an LA mayoral candidate being kidnapped, with him, Gillian Anderson, Kerry Washington, Stephen Yeun, Ray Fisher. Okay, I'm into the idea of that. Nice that he's casting Ray Fisher in a movie after the bad experience that Ray Fisher had on the Justice League.
He actually was, in fairness to Ray Fisher, in the extended cut.
Version,
he really is. And that's another thing where it's like Zack Snyder, and yes, the fan base are insane, but a combination of his personal life, the trauma he's kind of suffered through, and I think how eloquently he's spoken about that, but also Zack Snyder really went to bat for Ray Fisher.
Everyone comes out of the Justice League dilemma looking good other than Gal Gadot and Joss Whedon, I would argue.
Which I think is totally fair.
Yeah, I think everyone else behaved themselves and seemed to do a good job. All right, enough. We've done enough Ben Affleck. Now, we're going to skip the Letterboxd Top 4 game.
Okay.
Shane, give us the box office for the weekend. Triple Frontier had a limited theatrical release.
You only gave me an hour and a half to get that ready.
Yeah, exactly.
March 6th, 2018.
2018? Oh, this was a year previous.
I thought it was 2019. And I also have a weird pandemic brain with this where I swore it came out in 2020.
No, Shane, this came out in 2019.
Sorry. Excuse me. I was looking at the See Also.
Okay, great.
Which was March 6th, the year before. Yep, 2019.
Great.
This is number one film of the week. There is no new opener this week.
Okay.
In the box office.
Okay.
This is what do we got? Animated kids movie.
I don't know.
It's got a colon in the name. It's the third of its type.
It's the third of its type.
And we're getting another variation of that this year.
Interesting. Smurfs?
No.
Are they people? Are they animals? Are they fantastical creature?
The first and the last.
Is it the first?
Trolls?
No.
Not Smurfs, not trolls. People and fantastical creatures.
Yes.
When you say animated, are we talking
Like full on?
Yeah.
Right. Celebrity voices, everything else, the usual.
Yeah.
Celebrity voices.
So we're getting another one this year.
But the thing this year is like a reimagining.
Yeah.
Is the thing this year also animated, or is it a live action version?
It's a live action version.
It's a live action version.
Oh. No, it's not. Because How to Train Your Dragon's already out, right?
Yeah, it's How to Train Your Dragon 3.
It's already out. It is
How to Train Your Dragon 3, yeah.
Oh, right, cool.
That came out 2 weeks ago and you just totally missed it, yeah. Great. Jared Butler, yeah. Never seen the third one.
I've never seen any of them.
No.
Okay, this is the daily
They're not
domestic
interesting.
chart for Wednesday, so I might be in the wrong.
Fine, just keep going with it. I don't care.
The next one is Tyler Perry's Medea Family something. That can't be right.
Why wouldn't that be right?
Because
I don't know. Were they number 2 in the box office?
Oh yeah,
100%.
those movies are
gangbusters.
gigantic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a silly.
They don't even release here, right? They don't they never because people are just like
no one's ever done I'd love to talk to like box office or distributors here and be like, have you done research into whether like black people outside America would go to see these films?
Like surely it's worth a punt.
It's worth trying one of them.
Yeah,
they did one that was shot in Ireland with Mrs. Brown in it.
Oh, they did.
They did a movie with Brendan O'Carroll and it didn't get released here.
That's incredible.
It was like straight to the Hague, like horrendous stuff. Anyway,
Okay.
right.
Next, we got another semi-fantastical creature.
Jesus. Okay. Some clues.
You like
needed.
this? You showed me this recently.
I showed you this recently.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Most of it. I want to find your. Okay, I'll read Dave's review of this.
Okay.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Dave said, "Decent. Make a sequel," and he gave it 3 stars.
Oh God!
And this is
Oh! Is it Alita Battle Angel?
Alita Battle Angel.
Yes,
It is decent,
Fantastic.
and they should make a sequel.
I just wish Dua Lipa would perform Swan Song at her gigs.
Ed Norton
End
pops
credit
up at
song.
the end of the movie.
He does, and I was desperate to ask him about it when I met him. I was going to say, "Are you going to be in the Alita Battle Angel?"
Jai Courtney has a weird cameo for like 10 seconds.
Does he?
Yes.
Weird. Oh, Alita Battle Angel rules. Yeah, I
Yeah.
made Shane watch that at Christmas. and
It's
his
not
family
bad.
home. No, it's really good. I am a big fan of it. I follow all these Alita Battle Angel fan accounts on Twitter that just like reply to every Variety and Hollywood Reporter article that anything James Cameron ever says. Just like, make Alita 2, please. That's great.
Next up,
Yeah.
we got another.
Dumbo.
This is going to give it away immediately, but I feel like we need to point out that this is probably the film me and Lucien laughed at the hardest that we've ever seen in the cinema.
Right, okay.
There's a particular scene.
And were we sitting beside
Yeah.
Irish Times esteemed film critic when this happened?
Yes.
Yeah, we were.
I don't think he
press
knew who
screening.
we were.
At the press screening.
Press screening.
Yes.
Was this like an early afternoon screening?
No, this was like a Tuesday evening.
Don't tell me this is Deadpool 2.
No. So this is a film that would have come out like for award season in
Yeah,
January,
it's
and is
real-
still hanging around because of success in award season.
Yeah.
Wait, so were you laughing at it? As in, you weren't
Yeah,
supposed
we were
to?
laughing at it.
Not.
It's not a comedy necessarily. It's a heartfelt.
I'm not sure this was meant to be a
Drama.
funny scene.
No,
But yes, this
we're not giving any clues here.
this
Can you
inexplicably.
describe the scene? Is this like when Ed Harris dies in The Hours and I burst out laughing?
That's
because
very sad.
because it's ridiculous. Like how it happens is absolutely
Sure.
like,
no, this was weirdly
There's a scene where someone's eating pizza in the back of a car.
fried chicken.
Fried chicken. Sorry,
No, he's not eating it.
pizza involved. He folds the pizza in half. This is Green Book.
Okay.
I've never seen it.
Okay, well you were never going to
Fine. This is
a scene
inexplicably.
where-
This is a film from the mid 2000s that somehow.
Viggo Mortensen is handing fried chicken back to Mahershala in the backseat of the car,
Yeah.
going, you have to eat this, it's delicious, your people love this. And Mahershala Ali goes, I do not like to get grease on my blanket. And we were in hysterics. It's so funny. Best picture winner.
Best picture winner.
Best picture winner.
Best picture winner.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, this is SpongeBob and
Yeah.
Squidward.
Mahershala did that instead of Triple Frontier.
So when you guys burst out laughing,
Yeah.
was this not well received by the people around you?
They were just like not laughing as much as us.
No,
They-
but like we
they
were like, this
"Why
is
are
a
you
very
laughing?"
serious film about racism in Southern America. And the
racism
two,
and-
like,
yeah.
it just kind of spiraled where we couldn't stop
couldn't stop
laughing.
laughing for that.
It was a full
I've
10
had
minutes. We were just in
when,
fits.
when you kind of revert to your childlike state, it's like you're in
Yeah.
school, you're not supposed to laugh,
Yeah.
and everything becomes astonishingly
exactly.
Green Book is a good time.
Is it?
It's a good time. Not a good film, a good time.
Okay.
We're going to do it on the show soon, so.
Okay.
Those are two guys we haven't discussed yet. Like, so.
Oh, next up, we got an Irish director.
No way.
Yep.
John Crowley.
No, one of the big ones, though.
Lenny.
Nope.
John Moore.
John Moore. No.
He hasn't made a film in a long time.
Nope. We got another Dave review here. Has all the makings of a trash classic, but insert director name, plays it much too safe and somber.
Neil Jordan.
Yep.
2019.
Yeah.
So it's Greta.
It's Greta.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Greta. Yeah.
In fairness, it really does. This is the film with
Chloe
Grace Moretz.
Rupert?
Yes, and Micah Monroe is also in. Stephen
We got-
Ray shows up as well.
there
Yeah,
a
we,
scene in Lighthouse
as Dave
Street too?
says here in his review, all time put my mate in there, nothing role for Stephen Ray.
It really is.
funny.
It's a film that like has its moments, but it should have been. I'd say 34% crazier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, there's nothing really interesting left in the top 10, so I'm just going to call them out.
Yeah.
We had Fighting With My Family, Isn't It Romantic,
Good.
The Lego Movie 2, Apollo 11, and What Men Want.
Fighting with My Family is actually pretty good.
We talked about it on the Thunderbolts episode.
Yeah, it is good.
What Men Want, we'll hopefully discuss if we do What Women Want, which is on the list. All right, great. Lovely. That's enough. That's enough of that. Thanks so much, Dave, for joining us.
Thanks.
People can find you on No Encore, but also they can follow you on Letterboxd. What's your username?
It's No Encore on there as well, but I guess just go into Lucien's follows and you'll see me there.
I'll put links to your Letterboxd and the podcast in the episode description.
I watch a lot of trash, I will say, and my friends get
Don't
out to
we
me
all?
for doing so. I do actually like good films, but sometimes it's 10:30 and you want to watch a movie, so you'll throw on something on Shudder or Amazon or whatever. But you know,
Yep.
yes, and No Encore, of course, is the podcast. And again, thank you very, very much. I'm sorry for making this the longest episode of all time.
we were hoping it would be. And delighted to have you on.
Yep.
And we'll be back next week. You can find more episodes on boypartypod.com and follow Boy Party Pod on Blue Sky and Instagram. Thank you so much. Bye bye.